If there's one thing I don't want to get caught up in, it's blind hate. However, I'm not going to go in the opposite direction and just glaze everything that suits my interest. Yes, I still play Genshin Impact, and I have some things to say about Imaginarium Theater, and this quote-unquote new endgame mode that they recently added to the game. I didn't publicly state this, of course, but I kinda knew who this new mode was targeted toward, and after playing through Imaginarium Theater, it's pretty obvious to me what the Genshin devs intended when they created this content. With that being said, I will come out straight with it and say it. Imaginarium Theater is not good enough.
Surely you can do better.
Both as endgame battle content and as a stepping stone for them to try and goad the casual player base into getting involved into more combat-oriented content. Hoyoverse has the analytics at their fingertips, and it's clear to me that they've seen the Abyss participation rates. And I don't think a lot of people who play Genshin actually go out of their way to complete the Spiral Abyss each reset, which is one reason why I think it took them 3.5 years to finally implement a new endgame focused combat mode. They just didn't think it was worth it when they saw how low Abyss engagement was overall. But Imaginarium Theater was intentionally designed in order to be enticing enough for casuals to get into. The reward structure, aesthetics, small bits of lore, and character interactions is all evidence to back up this analysis. Photo poses and sprinting aesthetics are rewards meant for casual players. The mode itself has a small bit of storyline with some lore attached to entice the players who are into Genshin's narrative. And the character interactions with unique voice lines add on top of all this to enhance the experience to be slightly more than just straight up combat. I believe it was also the devs' intention for them to make getting into Imaginarium Theater a bit of a hurdle. They want that casual player who only plays their Hu Tao team and who's been playing Hu Tao for the past 3 years straight to finally build other characters who are all at level 1 and never intended to build any other character besides their favorite main DPS and supports who complement their favorite main DPS. However, the mode itself fails in its intent because if it is in fact trying to target the casual player, it's giving them the wrong idea of the strengths of Genshin's combat system. The Genshin scientist said this perfectly in his recent Imaginarium Theater video.
That's something are the team synergies which feel fulfilling because they make the characters' kits flourish, they make them work, they make the characters better. Not just in terms of power, they make the characters feel better, feel smoother, feel right, just right. If you take this away from the Genshin combat system, then it gets much closer to what the haters think it is, so an experience where you're just pressing random buttons and the enemies die anyway.
Genshin's strength lies here, in how characters synergize with one another due to their elements, and affinity to support the entire team they're put into. Tossing random characters into the mix is giving the casual player the wrong idea of how the game is actually supposed to be played, and what is truly fun about combining characters together in Genshin Impact. On top of that, the combat itself also has to be lowered in difficulty level, due to this randomness being a factor. Now, I believe it was intended to not be that challenging in the first place, because it is essentially a stepping stone in order to push more people to give the Spiral Abyss a good try, as evidenced by the specific character buffs being a factor in the Abyss as well. As for the veteran player, and especially the player who's very much interested in combat-focused content, Imaginarium Theater is at best a faster and easier way to get your bi-weekly Primo Gems. Personally, every character on my account is level 90 with 999 talents, level 90 weapon, and their own artifact set with an average crit value of 6120 on the low end and 7200 on the high end. And this game mode is not challenging in the slightest. The Spiral Abyss, however, I actually most of the time still use up the 90 seconds per side to clear on floor 12. The devs said they're paying attention to the player base's response to Imaginarium Theater, and they said they're going to implement changes to the mode as it continues to develop, but I really don't know how they're going to salvage it. It really does feel like Imaginarium Theater is a glorified event. There are some good things about it though, like the new stage aesthetics do look nice, and the overall slight boost to more Primo Gems each month is alright, I guess. But the best thing to come from Imaginarium Theater, in my opinion, is that it's still encouraging us to build characters that may not be strict meta choices. I do want a reason to use my Sucrose or my Toma, or use characters that aren't just Bennett, Zhangling, and Fischl. Encouraging horizontal progression of an account is probably the best thing that has come from this mode, and I personally don't want this aspect to change. I think finally being able to think outside of just 8 characters is a good thing. Perhaps they could have thought about it in a different way than forcing us to mix and match characters that may have almost zero synergy with one another. I really wish they made a dungeon crawler for a new permanent game mode. And guys, I know what a lot of you might be thinking. Labyrinth Warriors, right? But I was there for that event, and I really didn't think it was that good. I thought Labyrinth Warriors was pretty boring, and the traps and hallways in that mode were way too uninteresting. The fights were all too easy as well, and the buffs were still boring like how they currently are in Imaginarium Theater. My favorite game mode in Genshin was, and still is, to this day, Divine Ingenuity. I'm hoping that their hiring for the future UGC mode in Genshin is a more in-depth Divine Ingenuity. I really think that's the direction Genshin should go towards, but I won't go further into that subject in this video. Now, even though I think Imaginarium Theater is somewhat of a failure, I am still glad they finally, after 3.5 years, actually tried to implement something. I don't think we should be overly negative about that factor at least. They are still willing to try something out and add new permanent game modes that are focused around combat. Hopefully the community can give the right feedback about how to make Imaginarium Theater a better experience for new and old players alike. But like I said, I'm not sure how they could adjust it in its current form that would make it any better than it already is. I wanted to make this video to express how I feel about this new mode and hear feedback from you guys as well. Perhaps some of you might know how to improve this game mode, or maybe you think it's fine the way it is. Let me know in the comments. It's good that they finally are willing to make combat-focused content, but with how this new mode turned out, it unfortunately fell short. Maybe they can go back to the drawing board and put their imagination to work on how they can change things up so that this content can stay interesting for years to come. I'll see you all in the next one.